Okay, let's go. I just came home from a very exciting final, game of our match. Uh, Actually, games even. It took a while. There were four boards that got into relatively serious time trouble, as in under 10 minutes each. Um, and two of those boards got under 1 minute in the end as well. But yeah, it was a fun game, and did we did win as a team, which was also great. 4.5 points out of 8, just barely. It all depended on the final match, which we won as well. So it was 3.5, 3.5 going into the final match. But let's look at my game, and as you can see, I'm black again. I don't think no, I've played white last time, but this season I've played 5 games. This is the 5th one at least, and I've gone right. No, yeah, no. This is the 5th one, and I'm currently 0 for 4, and I'm also 1 for 5 now in white games. There might be some correlation, but we'll we'll deal with it later. I played. It turns out I played the same person I played last year in the game. If you follow this, come on, really, nobody follows this. But if you remember, if you actually watch this, if you remember the game that I played where I took a rook and bishop against a queen in an endgame, and tricked my opponent with a checkmate in the middle of the board, forcing them to give up the queen, and then we both promoted into a endgame which was queen and pawn for me against queen, which I won. That's the same opponent I just played. He mentioned being quite. Mentioned remembering my game, and that he was quite sick about it afterwards. But yeah, I think I also played black in that game as well, and my opponent played e4 here, and I decided to. Oh, I should turn off the engine for now. I haven't actually looked at it with the engine yet, because I was one of the last games. Well, I was. There were 3 more games that were later than me, but still means I got under 10 minutes. I had 6 in the end, and my opponent. Well, I mean, they had 17, then fought to 10 and then lost, or fought for 10 minutes and then lost still. So, yeah, I had more time trouble, but yeah, I did have actual time trouble as well. So I played c5 here, which is. I've been trying the French, and it has really very much disappointed me for some reason. And then what I happened to get is a kind of French position as well, regardless. Knight f3, because here I decided to play e6. And I know some of this because I actually looked at it from the white side at some point. And I remember that the way to play this is quite weird. The way you should at least play it. Because we traded on d4, which is normal. And then I attack the knight, and I'm going to play knight f6, after which you're basically forced to take and play e5. Otherwise I just get d5, which, well, we'll see. Because my opponent here plays bishop e3, I play knight f6, and now you're really supposed to take and play e5. And then the position becomes quite interesting, but I still probably. Actually, I get a knight. My knight is forced to d5. Bishop has to move, probably, maybe not. And then we play that position. Seemed interesting. But my opponent didn't take. My opponent played f3 here, which is fine. But now I get d5, so I just. Yeah. We get we get a decent. I get a decent position as black already, and now my opponent did what they should have done, which is take and e5. But now it's a bit late because now I already have a good center. I forced to go to d7, f4 to defend the pawn, and now my structure is good against this. They have a bit more space, but I can set up a big wall if I eventually play c5. But I didn't want to play c5 yet for multiple reasons. And so I did that, well, very late. Or at least a lot later than you might expect. Here I played a very interesting move because, well, we're basically playing a French, to some extent. And what is the worst piece in the French? Well, the light square bishop. So I played bishop a6 to trade it. Or at least, I mean, it's undefended though. But if you were to take, then I play queen a5, which is a double attack winning back my piece. I thought that was clever. My opponent played bishop d3. And now if I take, then the pawn on d3, if it's a queen, they take with the queen of course, but if they were to take with the pawn, then the game continues, but then I think I'm kind of happy. And actually I did it even better than that. I played, well, I still have this, so I don't actually need to defend the bishop yet. So I played knight c5 with the attempt to trade off at least one set of bishops for my knight. And again, if you take, you still get queen a5'd. And now it's actually way worse, probably. Well, maybe you can just barely survive with, like, no, not that, this, one of these two. Probably this one. Yeah. But yeah, so my opponent again didn't do that. And I'm threatening to just take here, and they can go back, but then I still probably take and play knight e4 or something, and my knight is an absolute monster. They can't ever attack it because I get this, and I have here, and, well, maybe not that. After knight e4 I might even get queen h4 things. So, yeah. Maybe I should have actually done that. My opponent castled here. Maybe not. No, maybe not. Because now knight e4. Oh, now knight e4 loses a piece, by the way. And take isn't good enough. But I can just take here, and they have to take with the pawn. I'm quite happy here. And I really looked at stuff like c5, which immediately loses, because I had this trick to give check and defend this, but like they also have the same issue in a lot of situations. So I really need to get my king out of there. Here maybe this is fine for me because I can take the d pawn. I can even take give block like that and maybe take the d or maybe take the d pawn. They take here and game continues. What I can't do, which was originally my plan, is to play d4 because then queen a4 and they take on d4, unfortunately. So that was my plan. There were I saw like 5 different moves before I went into this that I wanted to play, and this doesn't work, which I wanted to do. This doesn't work, which I wanted to do. This does work, sort of. I think. Yeah, I think this is fine, but it's not. I didn't really want to do it anymore. This bishop here is bad. These are all bad. This is fine. This is fine. And this is queen a5 is also interesting. It's not great, I don't think. It's probably decent. So I just easily, or just played the natural bishop e7 and just castle and then figure it out after that. Just develop. And my opponent maybe wanted to play d4 here. But, I mean, you can't because it's pinned. By my brilliant bishop on a6. So... the bishop, by the way, is gonna become a monster at some point. Because it's currently, you already see that it has a lot of potential. Because it doesn't have a bishop against it, it has a knight. So yeah, even though it should be the bad bishop, it's gonna be the good bishop. So, they kind of want to play d4. I don't think even the entire plan of d4, I don't think is very good. Because it allows me to play queen b6 attacking here and then c5. And then just play on, and I think I just have a bit more space, and yeah, my rooks get in and stuff. I think that's probably decent for me. But they still wanted to have the option, so they unpinned the pawn, played rook f3, also has some other ideas. And I decided, here I spent like 15 minutes trying to figure out if I could castle or not. And I decided in the end that yes, I can. But I wasn't happy with it. They played rook h3, which is, that's going to be quite annoying. And I don't want to play h6, because then f5 and they just take. And that's probably going to be game over. However, this rook is quite necessary for the attack. They don't have this square. They can only go here. And this square is also mine. So what I can do is play g6. And now the queen has a difficult time entering. Also, they can't even enter. Because, let's say... I also tried to find a useful move, by the way. But which I couldn't find other than just g6. But let's say... I think my alternative would have been queen c7. After which, if they played this, I can play bishop takes d3. But then maybe f5. No, not sorry. I just take f5. Maybe like... No. Maybe it's not that easy for white to actually win this, but it's... I wanna... Let's see with the engine. Okay, it claims that black is doing very well here. Okay. Didn't expect that. But, yeah. So I just decided to play g6, which I think is probably solid enough. My opponent played bishop f2, which I initially didn't understand. Because it doesn't do anything really right now. It kind of gets out of d4, but I don't really... Maybe I want to play I do want to play d4 actually, at some point. But it doesn't really gain anything, and it might even lose something because this pawn is... Oh wait, I now remember what the point is. The pawn is undefended, but the point is that this rook defends laterally, so now they can play knight d2. That was their idea. Because in this position, if the knight moves here, I take the pawn. If the knight moves here, I play d4, which I think is still fine for my opponent because of queen a4. Maybe not. And if the knight goes here, I could just take it. And then the pawn structure sucks, and we can play on. So my opponent decided to do this and play knight d2. Yeah. Well, at some point. Here I played the move f5 because I wanted to well, I wanted to always have the I didn't really find any good moves to... Did I just... Yeah, whatever. I don't want to move the bishop because of... Well, because of this. I don't want to move the queen because of this. I can, but I don't want to move the rook before I move the queen because the rook wants to be here, because the rooks need to be there and there. Clearly. Well, okay, let me explain why the rooks want to be there and there. Well, because my this pawn will always... I don't think I can ever play c4. If I ever can play c4, then my rook wants to be on the c-file. And if I can't ever play c4, then it can't ever be defended by a pawn. So I want the rook to defend the pawn. And the other rook is on the b-file, on the open, half-open b-file, to put a threat here. So this would lose a tempo, which I didn't want to do. I didn't want to play c5 yet, because now maybe d5 is annoying, or d4, and I'd have to play this. Maybe that's fine. I didn't think c5 was good yet, right? Yeah, no, I played f5 first, knight d2, and only now I play c5. Oh, I also saw that f5, if it's ever good to play, then it's probably good, because you don't really want to take en passant because of this issue and this issue now as well. And like here, if you were to defend, like let's say like this, seems decent, then this just already wins a pawn, I think. Oh, this one. Right? Now maybe you get queen d2. Just barely hold on. Or queen c1. Okay, never mind. Then maybe I could queen b5 and threaten this, and then I also have stuff like this and this and like so many lines. This must be good for me. I assumed, and my opponent agreed, and now c5. Rook c1, and to defend this pawn I decided to play d4, which is fine, I think. I could have played queen b6, but I did not like knight b3 in that line, I think. Or b4, no, not b4. I think knight b3. Can't really remember. But it's usually it's mostly just because I'm tired. It's late. Yeah, I don't think I liked queen b6 yet because of knight b3. So I wanted to play d4 was the point. And yes, it allows this knight to get in and maybe even here. But at the same time, this bishop will be a monster on this diagonal. And especially it's going to probably be on d5 where it puts pressure here as well. And then I can pile up on the d-file and stuff. Yeah. So this seemed decent, even though it allows, well, this in certain scenarios. Not yet. My opponent played queen b3, and I now, well, now that this is a threat, and I don't. Oh, my plan was also after this. Now that I remember, to play queen d5, and after no. And after this, yeah, and after this, I think I still play queen d5, right? Maybe this I would have taken, take queen b6 or something. But my opponent plays queen b3, I play queen b6, which attacks the queen, defends this pawn, which is kind of useful. And my opponent decided that they kind of made a mistake and didn't want to trade queens after all, because if I think if they take queen, they take my queen, I'm just a lot better here. Permanent pressure here. I'll probably take this knight at some point if they ever try to do anything with it. Pressure, probably this is going to be kind of weak. Something's going to be weak here, and this might be weak. Depending. And this rook is still out of the game, by the way. It's gonna be even worse. Yeah, my opponent didn't want to trade queens. And now here I finally move one of the rooks to defend. Yeah, I didn't need to, but I thought it was useful to get the rook active and maybe... Yeah, you just get the rook active, maybe I can use the bishop now in some way as well. Yeah, my opponent played b3 here, which I'm not sure of, but I didn't actually wanna. I don't think I can properly attack d3 enough, so I just gave up on that plan. There are plenty of other options here. After b3 I can now get this idea. This bishop with the queen together can be quite annoying. And I thought that knight c4 was kind of already forced, so they can here play like bishop e1 or bishop h4 to defend this pawn. My opponent didn't think it was forced, which I think he's correct with, and played bishop h4 here, which gives me a question: do I save this bishop, yes or no? And what I eventually chose was just to take the bishop, because it misplaces this rook even more. I mean, look at this rook. How can it even get into the action anymore? Can't go here, can't go there, can't go here, so you can't use the g pawn to free it. So the plan is going to be g4, rook g3, king here, and then rook g1, and then it gets back into the action. That's really rough. And here it's even more misplaced, because it still needs to use an extra tempo to get to h3 for that idea to even have a chance. Actually, this helps support it, but they still after that need to do this, because I just don't take on g4, of course. And then they have to figure it out from there. But yeah, I played bishop d5, which was... I'm already kind of getting into time trouble here. My original plan was, if the opponent played knight c4, I would probably just... My original plan was just to take. And then play the resulting major piece endgame. Which I'm not sure is correct. I don't think I should take. I think my bishop is just way better than even if the knight gets here. Which looks horrendous for me, but I had to really fight myself to say the knight on d6 is bad, my bishop on d5 is way better, just don't take the knight, please don't take the knight. Unfortunately I never did, but I really had to fight myself for that. But bishop d5 is also just a great move, regardless, or at least a good move. Permanently blocks this diagonal, attacks on this diagonal with the two pawns. Can't ever be kicked by the knight, actually. Look at how the pawns attack d3 squares. This is stuck. And the knight can't ever get, like, here. Well, it can get to c7 sometimes. Yeah, it's just safe as well. So I thought bishop d5 made sense. My opponents here started wasting some time. Queen d1 gave me a tempo here, because I can play queen a6, which forces queen c2 again, and then I played queen c6, winning a tempo. And they I thought that here they should just play knight c4 and go towards d6 to have some active piece that might do something. It also defends this g2 pawn which I just attacked. It's not the only thing that this queen does, by the way, but it also defends this and some other things. But my opponent played knight f1, which I don't really understand. I think maybe to help this and stuff. But it will be back, don't worry. But what it also does is it defends this square, so I can play... Actually, sorry, I can defends here, so I can play a5, a4. Which I do. Right? Yeah. a5, and now my opponent tries to free the rook, and I ignore that, because they can't actually do anything. They take. I take on b3 in between, which I thought was useful. They take with the pawn, of course, and I take with the e-pawn. They now have a passed connected, or a connected passed pawn, yes, but the rook is still dead. It can't go here, 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 here. No, it can go there. Can't go here. Can't go there. So I don't know how it ever gets back into the action. Right now it's kind of useful defending this pawn, so there are some ideas maybe to attack it, but yeah, but now it just defends already. E takes o5, and the knight just goes back to d2. Here there were a couple of interesting things I noticed. I could play bishop h1 here, threatening queen g2 mate, but it's just easy to defend by moving the knight to c4, which is probably the plan. What I did, however, is, well, it's kind of a prophylaxis. So my opponent's going to do this, and maybe they can even sack here at some point. Which I wanted to prevent, and also be useful in some way. So I played queen e6, which also has the added benefit of me being able to sack here and play queen e3, which I think is winning. Let's see, I wanna just... This didn't happen. None of this happened. I'll put in the next move first. I think it was knight c4. No, it wasn't. It was rook h3. But I wanna just put this in and see that this is... I think this wins, right? This wins a lot. Fairly certain. Fairly certain I just... Oh, you have queen g1. I mean, I still believe that this wins. Okay, fair enough. You just walk the pawns, and this pawn you'll just take at some point. And the rook is useless. And I just have 3 more pawns here. Or 2. Yeah, 3 more going to be. Yeah, this is... I assumed that I would be winning. Which is also... Oh, sorry. I didn't want to have the engine analysis on yet. I do see, however, that my move was quite good. I played g5 here. And the idea... There are multiple plans to it, but again, getting my queen here is probably winning. Actually, it can't get there, but I can just take here. That's probably very good. And take f4 doesn't quite work, I don't think, but I can... No, that's probably the plan. Probably the plan is if they take f4 first, attacking the rook, and it can't go here because of the bishop and the pawns. So the rook goes here, for example, and then I do this, because I also threaten this, of course, and then I go to e3, and it's... life is... Oh, and I also go to g5, so life is pain. So you have to do this basically, and I go to e3, and this should be winning, right? Yeah, plus 6 or minus 6. Yeah. Which is the idea, and if they don't take, which happened, I play g4. And now this is stuck, and where can the rook go? Well, it can't go here, 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 or here. So the rook is literally stuck. It has no legal, or no moves that don't lose it. And I'm going to win it. Well, at least try. So g4 happened. Oh, I was looking at the wrong g4. My g4. No, I was looking at the g4 on move 26, not the g4 on move 31. Okay, knight c4 happened here. Yeah, finally the knight gets to do something. But this does allow me... Well, I mean, it's going to go here. Probably. But then I have to... Then I can take that pawn. So, what I want to do is I want to move this rook. Actually, do I? Don't I just play h5? Yeah, I play h5. Because I want this win. If I ignore this wins an exchange and this wins a full rook. So they have to do something, and h4 works. And only now I play rook c7. Yeah, because now this doesn't come with tempo, and now I can just take the pawn. So they don't play that. Queen b2, which I'm also unsure of, but it does make sense now because of trying to play rook a1 or something, and but I can just prevent that, and then stuff gets really bad. Rook ca7, and now I just infiltrate on a2. And there's not much you can do. Oh, it also queen b2 sets up b4, which has happened, but that's not the big issue that my opponent has. My opponent should play queen b1 here, but I don't think it really matters anymore. They play queen b3, doesn't really matter. And now for the killing blow, which is quite a difficult move to see. If you wanna take like 5 minutes, go ahead. I'm not gonna wait 5 minutes. The move is beautiful, very quiet queen to e7. And the point is not anything here. This pawn is undefendable, which is... It was defendable here. I saw it here already. Actually, I saw it here. Right? Here I saw that queen h2 was the only way to defend against this. It took me up to here to realize that I could also play queen h6 attacking here, but then that's just defendable. But this is just so uber game over, because I just win all of the things here, because the rook is still trapped. And if I attack it with the queen, it's just gonna be lost. I think the best move is this, after which I could still take. And the idea is check, forced to go here. Check, let's say, if you go, it doesn't really matter. Check, check. And then I take here, and then it's just, and then I'm just up a rook. However, it's also what happened was way easier for me. They played queen d1, queen takes h4, queen e1 to defend, and this is just checkmate. I got checkmate on the board. My opponent didn't even resign. That's quite unique. Doesn't happen all that often. I'm quite proud of that game. I played some very interesting, good moves. So let's look at it with the engine now. e6 is... Apparently engine doesn't really like e6. But now, bishop e3 isn't good. You have to just play knight c3. Which looks weird because it allows bishop b4 or something. And c4 I also know is not good because of, well, bishop b4 at some point. Tricks, and you just knight f6. I believe the issue is knight f6, knight c3, and bishop d4, and you get an isolated double c pawn and stuff. But yeah, here same idea, d5, and now I'm already better, which I assumed I was better here and a touch better for most of the middle game, until suddenly in the end game it just crashes and the game just ends immediately. Yeah, I have to take obviously, e5, attack f4, likes bishop c5. I like this. Ah, engine starts to think about it and now it doesn't hate it. Yeah, it's going better. Okay, never mind. Yeah, minus 0.2. Still, I'm still better, but like I thought that this bishop would be quite. I didn't think it would be the big star of the game that it became after when it got to d5. Yeah, whatever. Bishop d3, knight c5. Yeah, take and this trade again. Oh, it actually likes white there. What? Wait. Oh, oh, okay, that's so I lose a piece here, but I get 2 pawns and no castling and rough pawn structure and stuff. Compensation. Like this. And the third pawn if I want it. Yeah, whoops. And I castled fortunately, then take. Yeah, engine agrees. There's not many good moves. Queen d7 seemed okay, but it only really defends against queen a4 plans after I play c5. Because I didn't really want to play bishop b7. So bishop e4 or e7 makes sense, rook f3 makes sense as well. Rook b8. I looked at quite a bit, but I didn't think that the trade of pawns would be good for me if they just take. And engine apparently agrees now. And that this is better. But now they can play d4. I thought that would be okay for me still, which it is. f6 is interesting. I thought g6 was okay. And now f5. Still d4. But now it's stopped. Now I play c5 now. Weird. I would have assumed that I would be still would be better here. And not after c4. That's crazy. Because I just set up a defended passed pawn already, and then I have 2 bishops and I can play this for quite a while. Yeah, rook c1 and d4. Okay, now we're getting back on track to being a bit better. Yep, a bit better again. Rook c8 makes sense. Yeah, b3 didn't make that much sense to me, and it's okay apparently, but it's not great. Bishop b7 is fine. I looked at queen d8 as well, just preventing bishop h4 and what's it called? There's a specific name for this trick that it's it's aiming at the d5 square as well. So I prevent this and then threaten to go there as well. It's just a decent maneuver. But they traded. Bishop d5 makes sense. Also prevents a lot of random stuff from happening. That didn't make sense to me. I just forced them back and then played this. And knight f1 didn't make sense, which is still also true. a5, g4, a4, g takes f5, and now, yeah, I can interject that, that's fine. It really likes g takes, which is, I mean, that makes sense, because I can claim the g file with my rooks. Rook a7, rook g7. I looked at it, but I thought that they can just plug the g file and it's fine for them. So I just took with the e pawn. Knight d2. Yeah, now, okay, I give them one move. g5 was good. g4 is good. h4 almost forces h5, because otherwise you just lose it. Well, at least an exchange. It likes king h7 to unpin the pawn, maybe? I don't know. I thought this made sense as well, which it does. And rook a7 wants to sack the exchange. Ooh, yeah. Queen e7. I mean, you can do a lot of things, but Queen e7 is just so game over. They want to sack a full queen. I'm not sure the engine understands that it's sacking a full queen. Right? Yeah, the engine didn't really understand that it was sacking a full queen here. Maybe the point is that you take on... There. Yeah, okay. Minus 15. That's what I thought. What if I give it a bit more depth? Then it will stop thinking knight e3 is best. Mix. Can't be best. There we go. Now it understands. Okay, now we've seen enough. And now it already also can reevaluate queen e7 to be minus 12. Jesus. And queen e1 now it's just forced checkmate, which I assumed as well to be forced checkmate. I didn't really see a way out. But they just give me mate in 1. Yeah. There's also a mate in 2, right? Here. Yeah. Mate in 3, sorry. Yeah. Decent. Played a good game. 1-1 for once. That's decent. Okay. Yeah, this is the game. This is also just... I also just played this, by the way. So yeah. Yeah, that's the game. Played well. See you in the next one, which is going to be... there's one on mid-December. One match in mid-December, and there's a... I'm quickly gonna look it up. You can't see this, so that's good. 2 matches mid-December. Okay. I'll see you mid-December then.